change is constant, and so my goal is to try to make the transition as seamless as possible.
I just ask everyone to support Chris.
The citizens are front of mind for me, for us at the city.
He needs your support. He needs your feedback, and realize that this is a tough job he's in, but he's more than capable in getting it done.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Beaumont Beat video podcast, where we move with the heartbeat of the city. I'm your host, Tracy Kennick, and joining me in studio today is our current Beaumont City Manager, Mr. Kenneth R. Williams, and the newly appointed City Manager, Chris Boone, who will assume his new role on May 1st as the city's 27th City Manager. Kind of a bittersweet show today, as Mr. Williams has fewer than 3 weeks left in his 39-year career serving in municipal government before his retirement at the end of the month. So today we'll ask him to reflect a little bit about his time in Beaumont, and we'll talk with Mr. Boone about what he sees as the future of Beaumont. But first, a quick announcement for you. As part of the Be Well Beaumont initiative, the City of Beaumont Recreation Department invites residents to activate the park. This is a free, family-friendly community event focused on fun, fitness, and connection. It will take place Saturday, April 25th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at Central Park. Attendees of all ages can enjoy a variety of interactive activities, including an obstacle course, a rock wall, group fitness classes, pickleball instruction, and more, along with vendors, games, crafts, and additional family-friendly activities. This event encourages the community to get outdoors, stay active, and enjoy a vibrant day in the park. Be Well Beaumont is managed through the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center and is sponsored locally by ExxonMobil. The YMCA of Southeast Texas is collaborating with the city's recreation department to make this a great event for everyone. So please join us April 25th out at Central Park. Now let's get to today's conversation with our current and future city managers. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Tracy.
Now you're here at kind of a major transition for the city of Beaumont. I want you to both talk a little bit about what this means to each of you personally.
Well, for me, I'll go first. For me, it's kind of a fork in the road. It's a personal thing for me, personal life, because I'm retiring, but also it's career changing because I've had a career for so many years, for 39 years, and so I'm shifting gears and not doing that anymore. So it's
you have a lot of extra time on your hands.
Yeah, and I hope to fill it, most of it. But it's personal, but it's also professional changing to me. So it's two things happening at once that's really a major change for me.
Yeah, going out on a high though.
I would like to think so. It's always good to go out on your own terms, and I always wanted to do this and get out on my own terms and not let anyone else define that for me. And I think I've been able to do that for sure.
Okay, how about you?
The great thing about this profession is it's kind of a combination of professional and personal, because we live in this city. It's our home, and so through our profession, working for the city and the other city employees, it's just an amazing opportunity to try to improve the city. And so, again, professionally, it's a culmination of many years working for the city, and so I'm just looking forward to the future and being able to hopefully bring my skills to the job.
Yeah, and you're not coming in as somebody who doesn't know the landscape of the land or the city, because you've been here so long. So
yeah. So we've been in Beaumont for almost 25 years, and then I've been with the city of Beaumont for almost 20.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Williams, and you mentioned you've been in municipal government for 39 years, been in the city of Beaumont for 3.5. When you look back, what are you most proud of? What are the projects, the things that you had your fingerprint on that you're most proud of?
Well, here in Beaumont, when I first got here, there was a lot of discussion about the infrastructure, and that's one of the strong points. I was a public works director in another life, so the infrastructure, there were discussions of brown water and such. So we've been able to improve the infrastructure. Now those costs are almost non-existent as we get them. Also water supply. We've done some major things with the water supply. We're doing a project out on Pine Street now, to where it gives us redundancy and increases the capacity with our water. So infrastructure has been a big deal, but not just infrastructure. I'm proud of the technology that we put in place. When we got here, there were some things that could have been done better with technology, and now many of our systems are either automated or online. Now we prepare our council agendas. Those are done electronically, whether it used to be just paper, and how we did that. We have other systems that we put in place for technology. So I'm really proud of that. And then the quality of life. I think we've done some things to improve quality of life, and that's kind of far-reaching there with the quality of life issues. And it can even go into to us being able to diversify our workforce. I think we've done a great job at improving that and getting people that represent the demographics of Beaumont to work here now. So we're proud of that. Of course, we also talk about planning. That's the first thing that usually comes up, but we hope to put some groundwork in the works for the future. Of course, those things have to be tweaked every year. You just don't make a plan and they stay that way. So the new city manager, Chris, will have to work with that and well into the future to make sure those plans are in coordination with the city council and people of Beaumont.
All right. Yeah, and you mentioned you were a public works director. Chris, you were as well. What are some of the things, for those who don't know your background, what do you feel are some of the things that have qualified you for this position and helped you to kind of hit the ground running?
Right. So I worked my first, kind of real job, quote unquote, in the profession was actually with the Regional Planning Commission back in Georgia. So you learn city government on a certain regional level. Then I worked for the City of Mobile in planning, mostly for 6 years. And so you learn how governments work, city government especially. But then, as you mentioned, I was public works director for the city of West Orange when we moved to Texas back in 2002. And so you learn a lot in terms of, infrastructure, streets, water, sewer. So a lot of things you're not exposed to. The great, wonderful thing about this profession is there's so many different facets. So public safety, infrastructure, finance, planning, code enforcement, the list goes on and on. So there's so much to know. You never know all of it. You rely heavily on your professionals especially at the department head level. So there's always things to learn, but it keeps it very interesting. So again, I've had that background, and then as mentioned, I've been with the city for quite a while, so I've been exposed to the different departments and how they function. So I'm looking forward to put all that together to try to do the best we can.
Okay. And I know with any profession, it's never just smooth sailing all the time, right?
No.
Especially when it comes to city manager, you have to run a lot of divisions or departments, and you're kind of the guy that people look to and maybe put a little blame on sometimes when it doesn't go the way they want it to go. So what would you say, Mr. Williams, been your biggest challenges, something that you may want to let Chris in on?
Well, I had challenges from day one. I came to Beaumont on a 4-3 vote of council. So basically coming in that situation, you have basically half the people who are disagreeing with something. So that's a challenge in itself, and one that if I were young in my career, I would not have done it. But at the point of my career, I could accept a job on a 4-3 vote. And it was basically to come in and to work with the then council on getting some things done. So I had the background, I had the skills to be able to get those things done. So I came in there. So there are real challenges. But, there were some other things too, other challenges that we went through that we were able to overcome and get some things done. I think part of it too is Beaumont is, like all cities, has its challenges, and one of those challenges too is sometimes the city's divided, and there are times that you have to try to reach a consensus and get people to work together on projects, and that was always a challenge and something you had to think about in each project you tried to get done. So while there were challenges, it was all worth it.
Yeah, and I want to say I think you've done a good job of helping to unite in getting each council member to trust you as the city manager. And I think that's a big win for you moving into this role, right, Chris? And I want to call attention to the fact that it was a unanimous decision for you to be appointed as the city manager. Does that give you a little bit of hope that maybe we can have a united council?
Yeah, that's certainly the hope. Again, as Kenneth mentions, we have a lot of challenges in the city, and so the more we can be unified, I think it's going to be better. We're all in this together, and so the sooner we can identify some common objectives and all try to work together to achieve them, the better we can get.
Okay, and Mr. Williams, I know you've worked with Mr. Boone for the past 3.5 years. What would you say are the things that qualifies him for this position, and why do you feel like he's the right person for this?
Well, the main thing is, Chris is Beaumont. As he said, he's lived here 25 years. He's ingrained in the community, and so as a manager, when you're part of that community, that's a tremendous asset. The first city I worked for was the city I was born in, and I worked 18 and a half years, and it's like night and day when you know everybody in that town and they know your family. So, but Chris, that's a strong point. But Chris has the background, he has experience. He's worked in different areas of government. He not just planning, but he's done other things. He's managed quite a varied degree of departments as he does now, and he has that. He has education. We have to have that education. He's got that educational background. But I think one of the other main things too is just Chris is a good listener. He listens. He hears the problem, he hears the issue, and then he works to resolve that issue with whoever it is, or no matter who it is. He comes at it in a good and balanced way.
How does that confidence make you feel going into this position?
Very good, especially coming from Mr. Williams. I mean, he's well respected across the state, even across the nation. So, given his experience, given his success, that means a great deal to me.
All right. Before we go to our next quick little announcement here, I want to ask you, how would you both, we've just had our State of the City not too long ago, but how would you both describe the current state of the city? Where are we doing well? Where are some things that we need to work on? I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall it's good. We're making incremental improvements. But as mentioned, we have our challenges. So if you look, kind of external to the city, there are a lot of challenges that we face, population, of course, public safety. We've got some, school district issues. Some of those things we can't control as much as other things. Public safety, we can certainly tackle that to some extent, but there are other factors involved in that. So I think it's good. I think we're making incremental progress, but we do have some challenges for sure.
Okay, Mr. Williams.
Well, Beaumont's a great city. It's got a great history. It has great resources. We have things other cities would want to die for it to have. Mm-hmm. But like those cities, they have challenges too. Beaumont has challenges. Of course, for us as a city, the violent crime. It's out there. It's something that's going to be worked with, and the city's going to have to work with, and the new city manager, Chris, will have to address. Then there's homelessness, and these things are it's not a problem that we created. It's just a problem that's national now. Every city you go to, they're having to come up with solutions for these issues, such as violent crime and homelessness. Of course, our school system, sometimes a city, no matter how hard you work, if a school district has challenges, it's gonna impact the rest of what you do, and the way people view your city. So, great city, Beaumont's fantastic, but like any other cities, it has challenges.
All right, we're going to pause the conversation for a moment with two quick announcements from the Sterling Pruitt Activity Center. First, get ready to run, jump, and compete. Registration for the Beaumont Track Club is now open through May 1st. This program is for youth ages 5 to 18 and offers coaching, uniforms, and competition opportunities for just $150 per child. Practices will be held 3 nights a week at Beaumont United Track and Field. And school is almost out, so that means time to start thinking about those fun summer camp opportunities. Registration for the Sterling Pruitt Kids Summer Camp is now open and will run until all spots are filled. This camp is for children ages 5 to 12 with 2 exciting sessions packed with activities for just $150 per session. You can contact the Sterling Pruitt Activity Center office for both Track Club and Kids Summer Camp at 409-838-3613 for all the details. And as always, you can stream this show and past episodes of the Beaumont Beat on multiple platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. And we'd love for you to subscribe to our channels, like this episode, and share it with others so they too can enjoy it. And we're always looking for new topics, so drop us a comment. Let us know what you would like to see in future episodes. Now back to our conversation with Mr. Kenneth Williams and Mr. Chris Boone. And Mr. Boone, I want to talk with you now about your priorities. Moving into this position, do you have a couple, 2 or 3 priorities that are rolling around in your mind of like, this is what I want to get accomplished in my first year?
Well, as the city manager, my priorities are basically the city council's priorities. And so we have to translate that into action. And so one of the primary ways we do that is through the budget. So of course, we're in that process right now. And so, that's going to be really an early priority for me is, getting us, through that process. So again, that budget can reflect the council's priorities. And then the strategic plan, when Mr. Williams came in 3.5 years ago, that was one of his priorities, is to have a strategic plan because, if you're reactive and you don't have a roadmap of where you want to go, you tend to be overreactive. And so we and the council put that into place back then. The good news is a lot of that's been accomplished. And so what we really want to do is revisit that in the fall, probably, to recalibrate that. The other factor is a lot of our council members were not on council at the time when we adopted that. So we really want to bring them into that process and recalibrate that because, again, that'll spell out a roadmap for where we want to go in the future and then future budgets. So those are going to be the early priorities.
Okay. And Mr. Williams, when you think about not just our time here, but in your time in municipal government, is there anything that you can think of maybe as a turning point or a decision, something that really defined your leadership?
Oh, okay. Thanks. This is the 4th city I worked in, so there are different points in my career that things changed how I was thinking. But when I look back in Butte, some of the things that I was able to accomplish there, we built a new municipal complex. We did pass a bond election, and built a completely new municipal complex and libraries and police stations and all of that. I think that was a big point in my career because that gave that city council confidence in me that I could get those things done, that I could make sure that happened. Again, as Chris said, it's up to council to provide that vision and provide policy, and we execute it, and we support them and give them the information they need to make those decisions. But that was a big part for me. Professionally is when I became president of the Texas City Managers Association. And it was good to hear Chris say, but it validated me with my peers.
Mm-hmm. Tell people what that is if they don't know.
Texas City Manager Association is this group in Texas that governs the association that oversees the city managers in the state of Texas. And there's about 1,000 members, 1,100 members of it. And it's an organization that's based upon ethics. Totally ethics. We are totally governed by ethics. We're held to those. We can go up on ethics charges, et cetera. So it's a group that really governs tightly what we do and establishes a baseline of guidance in our decision making. Usually if you see if a decision was made, it probably was based upon one of the tenets of that 10 ethics policy that we follow. But I was also a member of the International City Managers Association, which is international with 35 countries. So that was a big part of my career because it's not something I planned to do. I was encouraged to do by different my peers around the state of Texas and around the country, and so that was great. Here in Beaumont, it's the thing to define me. I guess one of the tough decisions was hiring a police chief. That was not an easy process, so. And everybody remembers that. We can't all name all the positive stuff, but that was the thing that was talked about, discussed, and with council and how we were going to proceed. I think some things changed when I was out for a month on medical leave, and so during that time there was not much communication between me and the council. So some of that message got changed. And by the time we got back together, some things were different. But we got through it, and now we have an excellent police chief, and we're proud of it. But there are different things in your career that makes it different for you. But what doesn't kills you, make you stronger.
Right. Well, and you mentioned that. Texas City Managers Association and the ethics, I do want to point out that's something that I've heard time and time again from everybody that you've worked with, of how ethical you are and how honest. Sometimes you've said even to a fault, because.
Yeah.
But so I do want to commend you on that. That speaks highly of your career.
Yeah. Thank you. That's something I can take with me wherever I go. So it's not something that you can just always put your hand on. But people know, they'll know how they felt when they interacted with me and when I left. So I'm proud of that. Again, it's still a fault, I think, and sometimes it puts me in some difficult situations. I mean, I'm willing to compromise on anything, but breaking the law or something like that is not to be compromised.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Chris, he did mention the bond. And we had our first bond election in 43 years. Not all of it passed, obviously, but Proposition 8 with our infrastructure. And as Mr. Williams was mentioning, going through that process, then watching the things get accomplished gave them more confidence in moving forward. Is your hope that as we move through the infrastructure bond projects, that you'll gain that hope, and then maybe this is something that the city, because again, we hadn't done it in 43 years, people were kind of pushing back, like, what, do we really trust you with these funds? Is that kind of a hope that maybe moving forward, this is something that it will help you to earn the trust of the citizens?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the fact that we now have that pretty substantial infrastructure bond item approved, the hope is that we can demonstrate that, look, this is a big tranche of money, but we are quite able to implement it and do the things we promised we were going to do. And that's going to put us on a path, I hope, for future bond processes where the citizens can look back and say, yeah, it was a big item in terms of the infrastructure, but we were able to do it, and we want to build on that.
Okay. Now I know this job as city manager, it comes with great responsibility and opportunity. Is there something that you would say kind of weighs on you as you step into this new role?
No, just the fact that it is a big responsibility. It is, a bit of a burden in terms of, the weight of it, right? And so we've talked about the challenges, and that's always first and foremost, kind of top of mind. But the reality is, Beaumont is a wonderful city. We do have, as Mr. Williams mentioned, we have tremendous assets. I mean, you talk about the river, the port, our downtown, our historic, our people, our food, our culture, LIT, Lamar, on and on and on. We are the hub. There's roughly about 400,000 people in our region. We are the hub, commercially, legally, culturally for that region. And so we have tremendous assets. I could go on and on, our rail, our road network. And so, again, we've leveraged that in the past, and I just want to continue to leverage that. So, yes, while it does weigh on you as a big responsibility, I'm also excited because of the assets we have, the opportunities we have, and and I'm looking forward to that.
I want to ask you what motivates you personally, because I know 3.5 years ago you were up to be city manager as well. Didn't get it at that time, obviously, but you stayed with it and never lost that driver. And I understand you were the first to get your resume in for this round. So what motivates you? What motivated you to want to do this personally?
Well, I have always been interested in how cities work, right? When you turn on the faucet, where does it come from, right? So always, and starting back to taking apart a radio, how does that work, right? And so got interested very early on in cities, how they function, how they work. And then of course, getting education and experience. And so I have, just a real passion for city government. And of course, the city manager form of government, as Mr. Williams is always fond of saying, is the best system so far. There may be a better one out there; we just haven't found it. And so I'm excited to play that role, because I really do think this is the government that's closest to the people, and so I'm passionate about the profession, and so again the fact that. This is our home, not our hometown, but it is our home now for sure. I get to do that work in our home. And so it's what I'm passionate about. And hopefully I can bring my, education, skills and experience and be successful and help the city to be successful.
Okay, Mr. Williams, I know you've probably had multiple conversations with Chris as he takes on this new role. What advice have you shared with him that you hope really sticks?
Some of the things that I mentioned to him the other day in city council are just about the importance of the city manager. City managers, we're the only one in that city. There's, everybody else, they have somebody they can go and talk with and speak with, but there's only one city manager in every city. It's not like there's a group of lawyers or things like that. So having the support that you need, you've got to make sure that your family is well taken care of, because they are in this with you. Everything that you do, the news that they see, the social media they read, they're there. So you got to make sure your family's well taken care of and do nurture them along this.
Do you cut off social media at some points? Do you say, wait, let's not watch it?
I don't really. Chris does, I don't. I'm more old school than he is, and so I just disengage in that way. While I listen to what everyone will have to say, I don't allow a small minority of people impact my decision making with the great majority of the city. And not to say I ignore anyone, but I'll make sure of that. But Chris, he's just got to, each one of us are different. I was different than Kyle Hayes. Chris will be different than Kenneth Williams. And we all have our own personalities. We all have our own importance. But he did mention one thing that's going to really take for him is passion. You can have all the skills in the world, but if you don't have the passion for the job or passion for the work, the rest of it really doesn't matter. So it's really good to hear Chris mention about that. But just it's tough. Just be able to be you, make good decisions. Don't let people encroach on your authority, because they will. It's a city manager type of government, and there's a role for the city manager. And likewise, though, you have to respect the city council. As Chris said, you have to that was my thing, respect the city council, hear what they have to say, take their policies and goals and execute them for sure.
Okay. Chris, I know that trust in a government is really kind of the pinnacle. If the citizens don't trust you, then it's hard to get things passed, council and all those types of things. How do you build or maintain that trust in government?
It is critical. I think the key is transparency and communication. I think is probably the best thing. I mean, obviously most of what we do, when you talk about decision making, we try as much as possible to take public input and include that in the process, because at the end of the day, at the top of the organizational chart is that the citizens are at the top. And so their will ultimately is expressed through their electing of the city council and the mayor, and then again the city council and the mayor instruct the city manager, what they want our city to do and prioritize, and so it's critical. But I think the key is just transparency and communication.
Okay, Mr. Williams, as you mentioned, a big turning point for you. We want to know, the citizens want to know, what are you most looking forward to in your retirement?
Peace.
Not having to worry about what's on social media.
Yeah. I want to do some things too for myself. I'm going to write a couple of books that I put off over the last couple of years. One about my experiences in local government, and one about a story that took place in a city I lived in. So maybe I can get those things done now. But also do the typical things like travel.
Where are you going?
To the islands first. We're looking at Barbados first. Then Cape Town, South Africa. Okay. Then Europe. Chris says he has some ideas for me for Europe. So I understand
he'll be too busy to travel with you, but
yeah. Well, he and Rebecca have done some things that he's experienced that he said he'll be able to talk to me about. But do all of that, do those type of things too. But just of course play golf. People know I like to play golf, so that gives me more time to do those things. But most of all, spend time with family. I have grandkids.
How many?
4. Okay. 4 that I probably could have spent more time with over the years. City manager is very demanding. Local government is very demanding. There were times with even my children who are adults now that I sacrificed things with them, to do these jobs because, you work all day, you have meetings at night, you go to events at night, there are a lot of things, and there were sometimes, although I did things and coached them, you just had to miss. So it gives me an opportunity now to really take time with family.
And what will you miss?
As far as the work?
Yes.
The people. We have fantastic staff. City of Beaumont has a great staff. Every city I've worked with, I can't say enough about the people who work there, the people who make things happen. We sit in these seats and direct them, but they're the ones that make things happen, and they're fantastic people. Beaumont has fantastic people working for us. You've been great for Beaumont, Tracy. We were very fortunate to get you here with the city of Beaumont. But yeah, I'll miss the people, the interactions and things, but then too, I won't for long.
Okay, I want you both to give your final word of, Chris, I'll let you go first. What would you like the citizens to know? What would be your message to the citizens as you're moving into this new role?
Just know that, change is constant. And so my goal is to try to make the transition as seamless as possible. And again, the citizens are front of mind for me, for us at the city. So I think that's what I would stress is that the goal. And I think we'll get there.
Okay, Mr. Williams.
I've really enjoyed working in Beaumont. It's been a pleasure to come to Southeast Texas. Although I'm from East Texas, it's a little different than Southeast Texas. It was a real pleasure, and I thank the people in the council for allowing me to work here and be a servant. And 2, I just ask everyone to support Chris. City manager is a tough job. It can be a lonely job sometimes. So he needs your support. He needs your feedback. So I just ask everyone in Beaumont to be considerate of that, of him and his family, and realize that this is a tough job he's in, but he's more than capable in getting it done.
All right. Leave some big shoes to fill, though. And I want to tell you, Mr. Williams, thank you for allowing me this opportunity to serve with the City of Beaumont. And you have really impressed me with your integrity and your honesty and your ability to stay calm during the storm is what I've probably learned the most about you. But thank you so much for your service, not just to Beaumont, but 39 years of municipal service. So congratulations in your retirement. Enjoy the heck out of it. Think about us every once in a while. Maybe give us a phone call or a snapshot from, I don't know, Cape Town or wherever. Let us know what's happening.
Well, I'm actually overjoyed. My kid said, you can't tell when he's overjoyed. He looks the same either way. So I am. And thanks for those kind words.
Yeah. And Chris, I look forward to working with you as the city of Beaumont moves forward and to see what's next on the horizon. So congratulations.
Thank you. Me as well. Thank you.
And we have one last announcement for you. You're invited to the mayor's first coalition against violence. Community leaders have already begun sharing ideas and identifying priorities focused on addressing violence and supporting at-risk youth. And now we want to hear from you. Join us Tuesday, April 14th at 5:30 p.m. at the Lakeside Center Auditorium. We hope you'll partner with the city and the many different organizations who are part of the coalition to build a safer, stronger Beaumont. And that's all for this edition of the Beaumont Beat, where we move with the heartbeat of the city. I'm Tracy Kenneth. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.